I never really saw anybody in media that was like, oh, like being a chef is something to be proud of. Being a chef is something that you can actually succeed in, and be great, be great, be great. Today is the second day of the Thousand Days podcast. Today we're going to be talking about just getting into can't skipping steps. Pretty much how we started was pretty hard, and I think what a lot of people think about being a successful entrepreneur, having a successful restaurant, is that they just get to go straight to making the money, getting all the orders, getting all of the customers. And at one point, you have to start off with just seeing one customer, just seeing two customers, being happy that you get to 10. When we first started, we were essentially counting tickets and happy that we got 10 tickets for the day. And then before you know it, we were at 100 and 200 and 300 and so forth and so on. But the big thing here is I just want to go through our process of how we got to where we are and allow people to explore and go down that journey with us.
Hey, start from the beginning of like walking the neighborhood, walking into the shopping center and seeing the spot.
Yes.
You got to start there.
Oh yeah, well no, that's cool because I was going to start after that. So how I even came upon RVA Cafe really was we bought a house, and we were in the process. Our house was being built, and I decided to say, okay, well, if this is where we're going to live for a good amount of years, I should see what's around the neighborhood. And granted, we lived somewhere close, but it wasn't like right there. But that was like the closest shopping center to where the house was being built. So I decided to just take a walk, get to know the neighborhood, get to see where my kids would be, being raised, where they're going to explore. Now grandkids, but I just kind of walked into Merchants Walk Shopping Center, saw a little tiny cafe, RVA Cafe, walked in, was just like, hey, how you doing? They're like, excited to see me because they're like, oh, it's a customer. It was a older couple and their son really running the cafe. Son was on a computer. They had, had to be the Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy on, like something. It was a person that's sitting in the corner. They were just kind of laughing about what's going on TV. It was just a really quiet, quaint restaurant. And, I sat down. I just was like, well, I'm in here. Because, you can't really walk into a restaurant at that small and then say, have a nice day. Like, I'm not going to order nothing. So I just sat down and ordered. And it's funny enough, I ordered the fatso. Okay. So,
see, I didn't know that wasn't yours, like originally. I didn't know you just
definitely not
bogarted that whole thing.
Yes, definitely.
But the not so fatso.
There you go.
The not so fatso. That's so not so fatso. But no, they had a French toast sandwich, so a French toast, hash browns, and we switched it up a little bit because what they had was hash browns, bacon, and you had to get ham. So they didn't have any choices of how, you could switch bacon, sausage, you could switch, turkey and turkey bacon. They didn't have any of that. So it was just straight up ham, bacon, hash brown, eggs. I don't even think they did cheese or anything like that. So, but that's what I ate. We started talking and I was like, hey, I'm a chef. At the time I was still working at Wegmans, and I was like, well, I want to own a restaurant one day. That's what I want to get into. And stars had to align, and I saw like the stars aligning in their eyes even because they were like, well, we're actually trying to retire and go to Florida. And we were trying to figure out a way out of this. And, I was like, well, I'm trying to look for a way into this. So it was kind of just, it was really wild to, go in there and like our stories matched up like perfectly. So we kind of just had a conversation. They wanted to sell it for a good amount of money that I didn't have. And this is a good point, a lot for entrepreneurs that really want to get into stuff and say, okay, I don't have the money, I don't have the capital, I can't go to a bank and I can't get a loan. I didn't have that ability at that moment. We just bought a house, so I mean, what loan was I getting for a business? We just started up like a business, our official business. Like Nicole and I talked about our business when we first got married, but we didn't do the necessary steps to say, okay, let's get our articles of incorporation. We had our tax ID, but we didn't have like all of it set up, a business bank account and things like that.
You had the operating part of catering. I mean, you were already catering to, pharmaceutical representatives. They would come and order lunches, breakfasts from you. So, I mean, you had that going. Sorry. But the other thing was, I mean, we still had to pay a sizable down payment.
Yeah. I mean, we did, but I mean, not to the point of them saying. I mean, really, I don't even want to kind of have the. How people talk and they don't really give you details. I mean, I like giving people details because that can unlock a lot of things for people. They wanted $50,000 out the gate, $50,000, and say, hey, you can come in here $50,000. I was like, well, I ain't got $50,000.
And was that just to take over the business or to take over the lease?
So it was to take over the business. And that's a good point as well because, a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, well, this person is selling their business. And that's a really intricate thing, right? When I come into anybody's business, I say, okay, this is what I want to do. When I purchase their business, and I say purchase with quotes, is that we didn't buy their tax ID. We didn't buy their business. A business is an entity. It's a person. It's a thing, a physical thing, and people don't really respect it as such. So if somebody's saying I'm buying or I'm selling my business, they're really selling an idea, not really the business. And they could sell the business, right? They could sell the EIN, the history of the business and things like that. But that's really typically not what you want to do, especially as a new entrepreneur, because you don't know the debts that they've incurred. You don't know the taxes that they didn't pay or they did pay. You have to do a lot of due diligence, and that requires a pretty sizable paycheck to a lawyer to really go and figure all of that out. Yeah. So when we came into it, all I did was I said, look, I don't have $50,000, but I have the work. I have the work ethic. So I went into it and I talked to the mom, who was the main chef. I talked to the son, who was really the kind of business person running the money and things like that. And I was like, look, I can come in here. I can work for you guys for free for 2 months. I can learn the business. I can learn the craft of what you guys do, the spirit behind what you guys are doing. Learn that, because that was important, because regardless of whether I saw it as a successful business or not, they were there and they were successful at what they did. So I wanted to get what the spirit behind what made them successful, and just getting that. And so that's what I did. I said, look, I didn't got the money, but I got to work. And really, that's all that is required to really get into business. Just have the work ethic to say, look, I'm gonna get in the mud and I'm gonna stay in the mud until I can build myself out the mud.
So how did you feel? Like, you went in there for a month, and you worked as if you were an employee. Like, how did that feel going into that space, going into that role?
Well, I mean, getting into that, I mean, that could be a whole episode in of itself, because for me, what I always tell people is that one, going into entrepreneurship, you have to be humble. You have to understand your role and play your role correctly when you're, talking to people, because one, you never know who is going to give you your blessing. We always, pray to God or Allah or whoever, universe, whoever you looking for your blessings from, and we don't want to. We think it's going to come in a package that we want to see.
I've heard a real good saying about that, where it's like they said, you reap what you sow, but you don't always reap where you sow.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. And honestly, this is the time around when Trump was running for president, and clearly we were like, oh, well, we may or may not like my boy or whatever the case is. He was saying some pretty wild stuff. And these people, they were an older white couple from Florida that were heavy Trump supporters, right? So I'm talking things on the window, Confederate flag, all of that. So the first thought process from us would be, oh, no, they could be racist, they could be, evil people, whatever. If you really like say, okay, I'm just gonna pay attention to what the media is telling me and what even my experiences, because obviously being a black man, I've experienced racism before, so I'm just like, okay, I'm already on edge, like, they saying okay, but really, is it? So, but honestly, I would be really frank. I mean, they had their quirks about them, but they were nice people, and they gave me the opportunity that I really needed to, be here. If they didn't give me RVA Cafe, where would we be?
So how, like, when you came into this space, back in October, you did similar. Like, you got up one night and you were like, I'm going to the restaurant. We had just come back from a vacation. Yeah, in the morning we had just come back from vacation. Like, so when you compare what you did for RVA Cafe to coming into Branch and Vine, like, how did that feel for you? Like, did you see a lot of similarities? Did you feel confidence? Like, walk us through that part.
Well, obviously that's skipping a lot of details in the middle, but
it's the same. But it was the same kind of
concept of coming into here. But understand, I had the confidence, of Michael Jackson, Beyonce, or whoever you want to say. At this point, I feel like, by the time we started with Branch and Vine, I'm the Michael Jordan of delivery. And that's really how I feel, whether I am or not. But we've already gone around the world, literally telling people how to do delivery, showing $1 million, $1 billion businesses, this is what you need to do. We've spent the whole year consulting with the head of marketing for DoorDash. We've spent the whole year trying to teach other restaurants in different cities, in different countries, in different states, and say, look, this is what you're supposed to do. So it's like I was already kind of validated and saying, well, this is a space that works for me, but I don't have to be nervous about, whether I'm going to make it or not. It's a funny thing that I always tell you guys, is like, all right, when we get to the hump of saying, all right, we made $500 for the day, we made $1,000 for the day, we made whatever, and we're coasting and we're like, good. And I'm like, yeah, because I sure was just pretending like this was going to work the whole time. Because I didn't know. I'm going to tell y'all, yeah, follow me. This going to work. But I didn't know. I was like, well, hope what I'm doing is correct. But when we came here, it's like we've already been validated. I've seen it. I've done it. I've done it not for me, but for other restaurants and other people. So it's like, it's the same concept, but it's I'm a different person. That's how many years in between that. So, but for beginning of RVA Cafe, oh yeah, it was like, yeah. I'm going to say, we going to open this and hope. And when we first started, like I said, I think like our first day, Ali and we got 6 tickets.
Like 6 hours, like for the whole day?
Oh, yeah. And I counted them, Joes. It was like, one $18, one $11, one $24. And I counted them things. I think it was like $98.72 or something like that. I was like, whoo. See, I'm doing the math like, the rent is this. I got $92 today. Well, $92 of that, because remember we had to go get inventory every single day. Like every single day we had to go get inventory. So it was, I got $92 a day and I got $42 to spend on inventory and I got $40 some left on there. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work. But it was cool to see like how we've just matured in step by step, and that's a big thing. Like I said, the focus of this episode really is like we can't skip those hard steps of saying we have to go to Walmart, to Kroger, to Food Lion, to, and I think that's where we started. Then it was like, wait, Restaurant Depot. We had to get our Restaurant Depot card. Then we moved to Cisco or PFG.
It was Cisco.
Like it wasn't just all right. We opened a restaurant. We're ordering $1,000 worth of product. No, we was like, we sold such and such. Nicole is taking money out the register to go buy some pancake mix and some heavy cream, and we, doing it until we got up there. So it's a really cool process to go through and go back in your mind and realize, like, I think we was talking before about when I think this week we were really busy. We ran out in the middle of our service. Our printer lost. Didn't lost, but it ran out of paper.
Yeah.
And even in that, it's like we're like, oh man, we done ran out of paper. But realizing that when we first started this, and we first started doing Uber and Grubhub and DoorDash, there was no printing. It was a tablet that just sat there, and you had to handwrite it.
Did he bring the paper?
Yeah, the paper's still over there.
I did bring the paper. I brought the whole thing. Come on now. Play my
He didn't
name.
wanna- he didn't
Put
wanna
some
write
respect
tickets.
on my name.
You didn't want to write tickets.
No, I don't.
Because that's where we were
I
headed.
don't want to write tickets. I'm not writing tickets. We just shut down. We closed.
So, and you had to stand right there. Like, that's your job. You stand in front of these tablets, wait for them to go off. Name, address, so all that.
Name, address.
And they be wanting everything. And they got the notes. I live in this apartment, behind this building, beside this building, under this tree. Like, it was all there. You couldn't skip nothing.
So it was rough, but I mean we made it, I think. And then it was funny because the amount of stuff they were making that I just kept on the menu, because I was like, well, one person bought it for the whole month. That means we lost the sales. I was so scared to take stuff off the menu, and we were making the
Like
pies.
the apple pies.
The pies.
Oh,
The
pies
blueberry and the cherry
The pies
pies.
was hitting. I'm telling you, the pies
He made
was hitting.
the dough. He put the dough in a pie maker and put the filling and closed it.
Oh,
And
see, I ain't even get to see none of that.
You can see that.
No.
That was OG. I'm talking day one. Day one, I was making pies.
Actually,
in the middle
Ali was
of
making pies, too.
making eggs.
He was?
Ali
Ali
was
was
making
making
pies.
I can see that.
Burning pies, probably, but making them nonetheless. It was wild.
they had a very vast.
And corn dogs. We needed to get corn dogs back because
We don't need to do that.
That
actually.
was
No.
pigs in a blanket. It was.
That's what it was.
Pigs, and we got to wrap them.
But I think what is the best seller we had? Scrapple.
Oh, Scrapple. We gotta get
That
that
was
back.
after the fact.
No,
That was from them.
They was already doing
Day
that?
one. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Scrapple is.
I had never heard of Scrapple until
Scrapple is disgusting, but I'ma sell it to whoever think it's good. But I ain't gonna lie to you.
that vinegar smell is just.
It wasn't just the vinegar. It was.
I need to know who
Everything
eats
else.
Scrapple. Like, we need to have a discussion. Like, like there's a lot.
We
of
could have a
parts of
poll
the-
as to
of
if we
the
should bring
pig.
Scrapple back.
That's fine. Hey, we gonna have a poll. We gonna put it out. Who eats Scrapple?
And why?
'Cause that's a problem. But it's fine. It's cool. But yeah, so I mean, that's really was our beginning parts of
until
us getting
bacon.
into,
And then bacon took over.
Yeah.
So bacon became the
And-
bane of our existence.
and I think even
y'all.
reversing a little
The
bit,
bane.
going back to really the roots of this, and saying how you have to really be humble, is that I was a fully trained chef. I was working in Wegmans, training under chefs that's gone to CIA. I had other ventures, talking to chefs who were, had Michelin stars and things like that. So, in a sense, I felt, I don't want to say a lot of pride, but, validated in the fact that I know what I'm doing as far as cooking. Mm-hmm. And even in that 2 months that you said, what did it feel like? I had to just erase all of that and say, well, I'm just here to learn from you. they were making stuff that I was cringing in my soul, like
The milk French toast.
Yes, the milk French toast. But it was
I'm
cool.
sorry.
It was fine because I was like, well, I can't say you making it and y'all selling it. So what can I say? Because I don't have a restaurant. So and that's some of the humbling factors you have to realize. It's like, how can we, like, a lot of times our pride keeps us from getting success, because we feel like we know it all. We want to do everything. We want to say, oh, well, I know better than you. Well, you really don't, because guess what? You begging for a restaurant and they got a restaurant. So who really is the right one here?
Well, I don't think it's about, I mean, in my opinion, like, I don't think it's about begging. I think it's just that person able to, like, go out and get it, and say, I want it. And they put themselves in a space where they can, where you're tiptoeing to that, right? You're approaching them for that, right?
Yeah.
But you haven't done it yet. And I don't think it's knowing better than the other. I think it's just really what opportunities presented to you and of what you can obtain to what you can really, like, not do. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a big difference. Like, you can be the worst cook and have a restaurant. I mean, we see that all day long, right?
Yes.
It's just about your know-it-all and your know-how, how to get it, how to get there.
I mean, on the flip side of that, you could be the best cook and have a restaurant, because just cooking doesn't make a successful restaurant. You have to have a lot of other things
all of it
in
that
there
comes with it.
that you could be the best cook on the planet and a failing restaurant, because you didn't do taxes, you didn't look at the overhead, you didn't look at the location, not
or even
doing costing.
overexpenditure of funds. I mean,
so
that's a big thing.
It's a lot,
because you could gain it and lose it in the same breath.
Yep.
And it shows up really quickly.
But again, going back to our thing, you can't skip those steps. You have to, I was a little nervous going, down to the city hall and figuring out, oh, well, what do I need? I need to get this DBA. I need to do this. I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I had to figure it out step at a time until we were all the way legit. You had all that paperwork in line. I had my little folder, and every month
the
on the 20th.
folder still exists.
The folder still exists. And every month on the 20th, I go down and I pay my taxes. Because one thing I do know, they're not getting me for no taxes. Let me tell y'all, right? They're not getting me for no taxes. I go on the 19th to the 20th. I go and I wave at the camera and I say, hey. I'm paying you.
It's me, and then the lady again.
Yeah, it's me again. and the lady, and what she do, she used to be upset because the one at Henrico, she used to be, because I guess nobody went in there and asked for like a stamped thing, and then I needed a receipt. So I need you I need a copy of those stamped thing. Like, no, we not playing no
Hey, take
games.
a selfie with me right quick.
But
you know what? We did it, and then they called us and was like, "Oh, we didn't get your paperwork."
Yep.
I said, I will send you a copy through email. Good thing that he created that paper trail, because, I mean, what if?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like all this just goes to show that I feel like passion in your respective field just isn't always enough. Where also the knowledge of running the business and the consistency and diligence to run the business is also like its own beast to kind of conquer.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when you add to that, not just taxes, I mean, he also inadvertently built a delivery service.
Yeah.
He didn't I don't think he really realized it until we kind of crept upon Loco. But he actively was creating a delivery service from within year one.
Yeah.
Y'all start delivering like first day?
Yeah.
Well, so that was the cool thing that when we came into RVA Cafe, they were already self-delivering Grubhubs. Because understand, Grubhub was built for self-delivery. So you're always going to get more orders from Grubhub on self-delivery. So their son would get an order, but they maybe got like 2 or 3 orders a day, so it was doable, right? So what they would do is they would just take an order here and there, and he would deliver it. And then when we did it, it was me and Ali. One day we're going to get Ali up in here to give his story. Because, I mean, Ali, again, we have a running joke with the team, but Ali was busting it down when we first got in there. Because Ali was definitely coming in, clearing the table, taking the order, and then delivering the order, and then trying to get back by the time the customer was done eating to then say, oh, how'd you like your food? Let me go ahead and ring you out. And then washing the dishes, and then helping me put in bacon, and then going back and take the order. He was doing a lot. And I mean, I think about it. I'm like, I don't even know how we even made it. I don't even know what we were doing. And we was doing it 7 days a week. Because, again, I was like, well, one day we made 92. So we ain't got no time to be taking no days off. Because that rent bill was looking at me in the face like,
And what was it? Was it still the 15?
It was 15,
it was about 15.
60,
Yeah, it's about 15. But then you got the light bill. Then you got the insurance that you didn't think about.
Well, the light bill wasn't too bad until Chef over here decided he wanted to add 2 additional refrigerators and a reach in, and
that was where we was going. We had the money. We were rolling. But but it's cool. It's cool to, again, go through each process and realize that when people feel like they're at the beginning of their journey and they don't know how they're making it, just keep going. Like this is part of that you can't skip. You have to do this. You have to go through it. And if you don't go through it, you're not going to respect it. And a lot of people, they get through it. We talk about, because we came in just a year before COVID, a year before the whole world just flipped on its head and upside down. And from that, some people lost their businesses and some people gained a business, and there was a lot of opportunity in that for us to see. We navigated it greatly because we was already set up for that, but some people, they just started right at that moment. It was like, oh well, here we go. But realize it was kind of a vacuum that the whole entire world was wrapped around, because at this point people's lives changed. So it's like you could make a business or make money from certain things that you couldn't do before. And we was lucky enough to start prior to that, so we saw what it took before, we saw what it took during, and now we can see what it takes after. And granted, there was a lot of different things, but we never had to say, okay, well wait, we're further than what we kind of should be. Like, I feel like everything is in order.
Oh yeah, nothing happened out of order. Like I said, especially during 2020, I always say that I will never remember it like everybody else did, where everybody was, working from home or taking this time off. Yep. Like, bro, that's the most money I probably made a year. We was there.
You were there
all the time.
Yes,
no breaks. And I just like how that kind of was, like a really big part of our story, like a catalyst for our growth. Mm-hmm. Where we were just kind of happenstancely already geared up and prepared for what the world was forced to do. We were already kind of doing delivery and really built specifically on that. Once they said we couldn't have dine-ins, we was like, oh, great, finally.
Finally.
You know what I'm saying? Now we can start cooking. Now we can start going for real.
See you. Please, Jesus.
But I don't know. I just really
we love the business. we appreciate everything that you guys bring to the table.
But don't take offense, and we appreciate your patience, because what you don't see in the background is we was going before you got here.
It's funny because I always keep that I feel like it was either Yelp or TripAdvisor. But I want to say it was Yelp. It was Yelp. I go back and I read that comment that guy made that traveled. She was traveling through, and I think he was either from like Florida or Georgia or somewhere, and he was traveling through and he stopped. He Googled breakfast near me while he was just on the highway.
Oh, I remember that guy. And
he came through. He came. He sat. He ate, but we didn't get his food out like as fast as possible. And the thing about it was, the RVA Cafe was so small, so you could see everything that's happening, right? So you can see us cooking, you can see us washing our hands, going to the bathroom, doing whatever. Like you could see.
Not necessarily going to the bathroom. But
Well, I mean the bathroom, but it was only, but it was one hallway to the bathroom. So if you're going down the hallway, we know where you're going.
That's
like
true.
there's nowhere else but the back door.
Well, we
So-
have an inventory room back
Well,
there.
yes,
I'm sorry.
but you know, so and I remember his comment was, you know, I guess we tried to get to him as quickly as possible. This was like a Saturday, we were busy, all of that, and it was crazy because what happened was we didn't get his food out in a timely manner, and he essentially went on Yelp and was like, they just care about delivery orders, and you know, that was like one of our first, like, I guess, thought-provoking negative comments, right? Not just, oh, food is terrible. Because, you know, those, granted, I care about those, but it's like,
That's subjective. I
Yeah.
feel
10
like- I
people
feel
saying
like
this
it's
is great,
subjective.
one person saying this is bad.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to please everybody. But that was the thing on our operations. So, but it's crazy because it's like, yes, we do care about delivery orders. What you mean? The 2 tables that's coming in every once in a while.
It's not sustaining our overhead or what we
We had to wait for you to come back. We out of business.
The people who come back and ask for
Come on, man.
the tuna fish.
Yeah, we done got tuna fish. Tuna fish is gone before COVID. What you talking about? We half the world done almost died. You talking about some tuna fish?
Didn't y'all
That's
used to sell
gone.
tuna fish 2 years ago?
So yeah,
We'd be
yeah.
broke and under the building at that point.
But yeah, I mean that's just what it is. You know that's every steps of the way. But before we get out here, I do want to go over what we got sitting in front of us because we had this food sitting here smelling good for me.
It
So-
actually did a little wave. I don't know if
Little
you
wave.
caught
A
it.
little
Like it
waft,
was,
a word,
yeah,
a
it
waft.
was like, yeah, wave, waft. You know, I make up my own words.
Yeah.
It's smelling good. What you got, chef?
So, well, it's funny enough today. So I would say this a lot of times. I am secretly an Asian person. I know I'm a little dark. I know I got a little thing, but this is where I am. So I like cooking Asian food. That's like my favorite cuisines to cook. And today I had a catering order that I had to make some Asian chicken salad. And so I decided to make some Thai chili chicken on top of the salad. And then obviously as a chef, you got to taste your food as you're making it, right? So I ate it. I was like, oh man, this is great. I forgot I know how to make Asian food, and I want some Thai chili chicken. So that's what I made. So I made some fried rice for us to eat and some Thai chili chicken. And we also got some wine. I don't know which wine are we drinking today. Which one did you pick, Nicole?
I picked a Chardonnay.
Yeah.
A Chardonnay from Italy. It's very light. It's not heavy.
It is.
What are the overtones? Because I know you know all about that. Am I saying wine words right?
No.
Undertones?
Undertones.
No.
You know what I mean.
But
Florals. The tannins.
Yeah.
I would tell you that this
especially
one
the
doesn't
tannins.
really. It's so clean. Like I don't even. Normally with a Chardonnay, it's more about the oaky.
It's a little bite. There's no bite.
There's nothing. It's just really clean and crisp.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know nothing about wine.
It's fine. We got all this
It
wine,
just
but
has.
we don't know nothing.
All this has is just alcohol. This is
Alcohol.
grape wine.
But I think that's what we want, right? That's the point of it. But yeah, I don't know. Cool. But yeah, man. So don't skip steps.
Yep.
Don't skip the steps.
No.
But we here.
Something that you can actually succeed in and